Howdy there, Rangers. It's your favorite Wasteland Ranger storyteller here, back at it again. Today with a little love, a little hate, and you bet a lot of sarcasm aimed squarely at Fallout 4's most iconic factions, the Brotherhood of Steel. Now you're thinking, but Ranger, the Brotherhood's cool. They got power armor and enough laser rifles to make the Institute jealous. And yeah, sure, they look intimidating. They have a lot of T-60 power armor and stomp around the wasteland like stormtroopers. And they got that whole Defenders of Humanity speech down pat. But in Fallout 4, well, that's a different story. Let's just say Bethesda decided to make the Brotherhood less of a disciplined military order and more like an HOA with guns, exploiting farmers, sending kids to die in fire fights, ignoring their own lore, and oh yeah, handing the keys of a faction to a 20-something with a haircut that seems I deserve hair gel. So today, we're going to be diving into the 5 ways Bethesda could have fixed the Fallout 4 Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 4. Some of these things are obvious, some are hilarious in their stupidity, and some are just plain tragic when you realize how much wasted potential was sitting there. Now, grab your bottle cap, strap into your power armor, and let's talk about how to keep the Brotherhood from being a bunch of tech hoarding, farmer robbing, check endangerment hypocrites. Now, let's kick the first one off with the Brotherhood's most facepalm worried missions. Proctor Teen Grin's little help us steal from the local side quest. So here's the setup. You're rolling with the Brotherhood, supposed to be their new knight shiny new recruit, helping to save the Commonwealth. Then Tegan, the quartermaster, pulls you aside and says, "Hey, we're running low on food. You should go shack down some poor farmers and for supplies." Now, excuse me, what? The Brotherhood of Steel, this proud military organization, then the Knights of the post-apocalyptic Wasteland, and their big mission is to send you out on a glorified raider job. I mean, come on, Bethesda, not even the actual raiders took this far of a dramatic turn. Now, nothing screams Proctor of the people like rolling up the grandma's farm saying, "Nice potatoes you got there, be ashamed if something happened to them. Fork them over." But here's the thing, it didn't have to be this dumb. The Brotherhood has manpower, the guns, the tech to actually run this smartly. Imagine instead they pay the farmers fairly, turning them into allies instead of enemies. They set up a seed program offering protection and tech in change of harvest. Or heck, let the farmers board the Brotherhood troops for protection, like a mutual benefit. Now, all this would make the BOS look like an organized military force instead of, well, raiders in knight shiny armor. And the best part, it wouldn't have actually lined up with their supposed mission protecting humanity and not starving them out. Instead, Bethesda took the easy route. Nah, just rob the locals. They'll build trust. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Alright, next up, let's talk about the squires. These are children who are basically tossed into live combat zones with essentially, they'll what? Shoot a scent with their BB gun, hold a flashlight, maybe trip over a mine to inspire morals. But these are one of these moments where Bethesda just threw lore out the window. The Brotherhood's always been tough, yeah, but they've never been stupid enough to say, "Hey Timmy, grab that laser musket. You're going on a suicide run now." And the worst part, this order comes straight from Lancer Captain Kells, who, for the most part, is, for people who's keeping score at home, is an Air Force guy. He's in charge of the Pridwin, the ship, the skies, not ground combat. So that's why he's just suddenly making decisions about child infanticide. That's like putting the Navy guy who feels the submarines in charge of the SEALs team. Sarcastic time though. Nothing says disciplined military organization like having a 12-year-old in your squad, and I'm sure that's inspiring confidence in the ring. Hey, don't worry, little Timmy's got our flask covered. But here's his fix. Yeah, keep the squires, sure, but make them non-combat trainees. They could run errands on the Pridwin, learn about technology, or serve as appreciates to the scribes. That way, they're not being groomed to serve for the Brotherhood without literally being marched into gunfire. It's not hard, Bethesda. You don't need child soldiers to make the BOS edgy. Alright, time for Arthur Maxson. The boy wondered himself, the youngest leader in the Brotherhood history, and oh boy, it showed that Maxson's character in Fallout 4 is, well, let's just say, unfinished. He stuck around in his big coat, giving grand speeches about the glory of the Brotherhood, but when it comes to actual leadership, the guy's clueless. He doesn't know Tegan's farmers. He doesn't care that Kelsey's putting kids on front lines. He just doesn't notice anything. Which, let's be real, that's either criminal or Bethesda forgetting to write it in. And then there's a sarcastic goldmine. Maxson's brain is clearly stuck in teenager mode. Bethesda tried to write him as a powerful, commanding leader, but he came across more of a frat bro who just discovered responsibility for once in his life. As one reviewer put it, Maxson's still focused on getting laid instead of getting wiser to be an actual leader to the Brotherhood of Steel. And honestly, it tracks. His undeveloped brain makes the guy seem like a perfect example of why you shouldn't hand absolute power to a guy who's barely old enough to rent a car. But here's the kicker. Max could have been great if Bethesda had learned into the idea of him learning on the job, listening to his troops, oh, and dare I say it, actually giving him a good script to run off. He could have actually been a good leader who earns our respect through the storyline. Now imagine this side quest where you, the sole survivor, advise Maxson. You can call him out on unlawful orders by him. You can bring up your own background, whether military or civilian, and show him that there's more than just one way to lead. You could even mirror Roger Maxson's original in material, where he broke off of the U.S. military because he realized the blind side of there was a death sentence. That's character growth. That's depth. That's a story worth playing. Instead of Maxson just left standing on the Pridwin shouting about synth like a drunk uncle at Thanksgiving. And Bethesda could have done way better than that. Alright, let's talk about the waste potential of the Fallout 4 Brotherhood of Steel. And let's just say Fallout 4 had a lot of potential with it, and it's loaded with it. Now, the Brotherhood has some fantastic side characters, like Subscribe Halion, Paladin Brandis, and Proctor Ingram. But Bethesda basically shoved them into a corner and basically just completely forgot about them. Take Subscribe Halion for an example. She's passionate, reliable, and clearly is not 100% on board with Brotherhood's intentions. But instead of giving her a meaningful side quest or character arc, Bethesda uses her as a information machine. She exists to dump lore on you and then vanishes into the great abyss. Oh, that's great. Or take Paladin Brandis. Here's a guy with survivor guilt, haunted by losing his squad, holed up in a cabin talking to soldiers. You find him and what? Convince him to snap out of it and rejoin? That's it? Now, imagine full side quest where you actually rebuild his confidence with the Brotherhood of Steel, help him reclaim honor, and help him get a real role in the Brotherhood again. That would have been a powerful storyline, and so the one you actually get in Fallout 4. Now, there's Proctor Ingram, the woman who has the most inspiring backstory in Fallout, in my opinion. She lost her legs, kept fighting, and literally rebuilt her whole life on technology. That should make her one of the most complimenting characters in the Fallout series. Not series, game. But Bethesda never lets you know her on the person level. She's just there to talk about Liberty Prime and sit in the back of the corner fixing power armor just sitting down. Sarcastic moment here. Bethesda basically looked at these characters and said, nah, background props are good enough. Let's just give more lines to Random Night 14 instead. And here's the fix. Each of these characters' dedicated storylines make Halen a more moral compass. Brand is a actual good character with a good sideline. Ingram, a symbol of what the Brotherhood could have been if they embraced tech to help people instead of just hoarding it for themselves. Alright, finally, let's tackle the big one, the Brotherhood of Steel. Brotherhood's ecology. Now, in Fallout 4, the Brotherhood's having a full-on crisis as they've strayed so far from the roots that half of the time they feel like a different faction entirely to me. Now, compare them to Elder Alliance, Brotherhood in Fallout 3. That group was about protecting the people of the Wasteland and actually using technology to rebuild civilization. They weren't perfect, but at least they stood for something actually noble that I really did actually like when I played Fallout 3. Now, jump to Fallout 4. Maxson's Brotherhood is basically obsessed with hoarding tech, executing synths, and basically turning the whole populistic version into their own type of war. Now, apparently protecting the people is too mainstream, so now the Brotherhood's main mission is, you guessed it, hoarding microwaves and smashing robots. Real inspiring, Bethesda. We love it totally. But here's the thing. It didn't have to be this way. The Institute resources, agriculture research, energy research, even synths themselves couldn't have been assets. Imagine the Brotherhood leading the Commonwealth, rebuilding effort, using the Institute's tech for farms, power, and medicine. That would have been way more honorable than their actual original ideas. Instead, Bethesda wrote them as cartoon villains with a really cool clue blimp called the Predwin. Alright, so there you have it, Rangers. 5 easy ways Bethesda kinda fixed the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 4. Stop exporting farmers. Maybe try using a demonology instead of cosplaying raiding. Using shadow soldiers. Turns out a 12-year-old with a laser musket isn't probably the best backbone for a functional military, sadly, Elder Maxson. Letting Maxson grow up, and dare I say actually give him a good script to run off. He doesn't need to be a cartoon villain with an edgy teen story. He could have just been as written as a leader who earns our respect and listens to us when he doesn't give a real lawful order. Giving underused characters their moment because Scribe Halen and Brandis and Ingram deserve way more than just being NPC furniture. Fixing their ecology. Remember when the Brotherhood was supposed to protect humanity? Not in Fallout 4. They just hoard microwaves and bully robots. Yeah, that's totally good. Now let's go back to Fallout 3 storyline, please. I don't like that one. Now, don't get me wrong. I love stomping through the wasteland in a suit of Brotherhood power armor, blasting synths, and listening to that dramatic Brotherhood theme on the Predwin. But Fallout 4's Brotherhood, man, it just does not feel right. It feels like wasted potential, cool aesthetics, weak writing, and anyways, that's all for today's rant. This is your Wasteland Ranger signing off. So, make sure to stay safe out there and keep your cores charged. And remember, somebody in a giant coat tells you to rob Grandma's farm. Maybe just don't. Oh, wait, and before I leave, make sure to stick around because we're getting more into Fallout 4's deep dives coming up, like the messy truth behind Yuga World's corporation. You're not going to want to miss that one. Until then, bye, Rangers.